a wooden fence. There will be another part after this fence tutorial to show you how I would paint, use the same technique to paint a wooden floor. First thing you're definitely going to need is some painter's tape. This is Scotch Blue number 2090, and I'm working on a gesso board. This will also work on canvas, so it doesn't need to be like super smooth like this. Black craft paint. I've just covered this with black craft paint. So this stuff. And I'm also going to use some burnt umber, which is just brown. And chestnut. All of this acrylic craft paint. Don't need a whole bunch of that. The brush that I'm going to use is going to be this flat bristle brush. I will link it in the description for you. It comes in a set of excuse me, it comes in a set of other size brushes that I use quite frequently. Tape off my fence so I can get really nice clean edges. Now I did extend these parts of the fence on up just so that I can remember where they're at after I tape this off. So I'm going to paint the bulk of the fence first. So this is like the little top section of the fence, and then this is like one of those boards that go kind of in the middle to stabilize it, and then this will be the ground. So on the bottom part of the top part of the fence, if that makes sense, I'm going to tape that off because I'm going to paint these things separately. And then do I want to tape off the ground? I can put a little bit of grass in there. Yeah, let's just tape it off. It'll be fine. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this flat brush. And since I've already got it painted black, I'm going to go straight in with the brown. And I'm going to start dragging very lightly, straight up and down. See, I'm losing these lines. That's why I sketched them further out so that I'll know where they go. And I'll sketch them back in and then paint them. Dragging straight up and down. This bristle brush gives me that wood grain effect. This canvas board is in kind of bad shape, but there's like big globs of paint. I'm going to go over top of those vertical parts of the fence. But I will go back over them. Straight up and down. I don't want to make this fence huge because I want to keep this kind of simple. Now I'm going to start to build some layers, and I'm going to go in with the chestnut. Now if you want your fence to be light, don't paint it black first. Start with just the brown, the burnt umber. Straight up and down. It's okay if you get some big clumps because we're going to fix all that. We're going to go back and forth with highlights and shadows. And just trust the process. Very light pressure, just sweeping straight up and down. I'm not going to paint individual boards. Just the impression of wooden planks through here. Dry that. All right, now I'll go back in. I'll wipe my brush off a little bit. Go back in with some brown. Can't really see that a whole bunch, but it'll be there. If you overdo it with the chestnut, which is this lightest color, if you overdo it with that, you can always go back and add more black, more brown. You know, just go back and forth until you get it the way you want it. Which is exactly what I'm doing. Just going back and forth with these colors. I'm going in with the brown or the black now, and even lighter, less pressure. Well, I'm pushing harder now because I was running out of paint. So I just reloaded my brush and now I'm doing very light pressure. And then I do more pressure as I'm running out of paint. Oh. Try your best to keep these straight. If you start to curve, the wood's gonna look weird. Make sure you get some at the bottom. So it looks consistent. And you can do some bigger clumps if you want. Now I like to take my painter's knife. This is a Bob Ross painting knife. And I grab a little bit of black, just kind of spread it across my plate, and then just like cut through it. Not a whole bunch. And then I'll start up here on my tape and then just kind of drag straight down. That way, when I first put the tape or the knife down on the fence, I don't get that on my fence. Like that. That's exactly what I didn't want to do. This is just, that. I did not start in the tape. Start in the tape, drag down. Tape, drag down. Okay. Don't want to overdo it with that either. And I'll do the same thing with some of the chestnut tape. Very lightly drag down. Not a whole bunch because I don't want to overdo it. You don't have to do that part if you don't want to. Okay. Then we'll get my pencil back out and put this line back in here, and that's why I have these lines sketched further, like outside, outside of my fence, so I know where they were. Put that back in. Put that back in. And I'm done with this part. Done with this. Then I want to sketch these lines back in. Here comes my cat. Meow. Meow. I believe I sketched this a little crooked. Meow. So these are not exactly straight up and down, but I think my whole fence is kind of at an angle here, but that's all right. All right, now I wanna erase these at the top of that line. Dude, please don't start. Please don't start. I've got a limited amount of time right now, and I don't have time for you to be messing with the door over there, please. Okay, get rid of these lines now. All right, I'm going to reuse this piece of tape. And we'll paint, use the other edge. Make sure that's pressed down real good. I can do both of these at the same time. So now I'm going to block off this line. Meow. I'm going to do these two sections of the fence, both at the same time. Psst, quit messing with my camera. Oh, my cat. He was asleep and everything was going so well, and then now he's up and he's demanding attention. So back with my bristle brush and the brown. This time I'm going to go straight across this direction. Bro, don't mess with my tripod, please. So this direction. And then with my chestnut, I want to make these two lines of the fence, these two sections of the fence, lighter than the rest of the fence, just so that I have some contrast. So it's not all like, you know, all the same. So I'm going to use more chestnut. Basically can't even see that brown under there very much. Dude, get your feet off of my tripod. Go. I'm gonna dry it and see how it looks, see if it's light enough. Let's see if that's light enough against. Bro, stop. I'm not sure that's light enough. I think it'll be okay, because I'll do some shadow underneath it, and then that'll give me that contrast that I need. All right, now I'm gonna paint some grass down here at the bottom too. I'm gonna get rid of this these little pencil marks up here, because I can see them and it's bothering me. All right, now I'm going to do a shadow under these. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. I got to do these now too, because they're going to go in front of this. So I always get ahead of myself on these tutorials. These little lines, the tape is just going to help you keep your fence nice and crisp and clean and straight. It just takes a few minutes to tape things off, and that's not long enough. Just takes a few minutes to tape it off, but it saves you quite a bit of time. Psst. Saves you quite a bit of time. My cat, man, I'll tell you. I'm just gonna go straight to the chestnut. I'm not even gonna go with the brown. But I am, however, bro. I'm going to tape off just a little bit above this part of the fence. This part of the fence, so just a little bit above it. And it's going to go at the same angle as the fence with the chestnut. We'll cover this up. It may need 2 layers. No brown. Yeah, definitely gonna need 2 layers. I'm gonna dry it and add another one. Oh man, that is really light. That may be too light. So that's what it would look like if you did not start with the brown underneath. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of brown because it's drastically different compared to the rest of my. I don't know if I can return from this. Besides like starting with black, going back to black. Let me see how that looks. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. All right. I'm gonna save a couple of these pieces of tape. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. All right. Now we're gonna make the fence look 3-dimensional. This piece is on the front, so I'll do that last. So I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna put my tape right along this edge. So on the bottom of this plank here, this wooden plank or whatever. Okay. And my fence is so small, I'm gonna have to like get some of that tape off of there. Same thing on this one. Bottom part of that, the bottom of that part of the fence. Now, I'm going to take and clean the brown out of this brush. I'm done with those. So this is just a little flat brush from the Deco Clarity set. I'm going to use this little flat brush from the Deco Clarity set. I'm also going to use a flat brush from, no, I'm sorry, flat brush, goodness, I'm struggling today. Flat brush from the Deco Fine Detail set. Excuse me, and a flat brush from the Clarity set. So I'm going to get some black paint, and then I'm going to come in right underneath this tape, and I'm going to make a little shadow. Not a lot of tape. Oh, I don't want to go over this. So I got to stop right there. I don't want to go over this one either. If you feel like getting out a little piece of tape for that, go for it, but I don't feel like it. This is really small. I don't think I could. I don't have the patience right now to cut out a little piece. Cut out a little piece of tape. All right, black. I don't know why my cat gets like this whenever I try to make videos. He's like, he gets just extra needy. The bigger you make the shadow, the bigger, bro, don't. The bigger that wood is going to look like it sticks out. This tape is going to help you keep that really straight line for your shadow. Now I'm going to go in with this little fine detail brush and some more black paint. Oh, that's wet or dry. And this is really nice and blended. It's real soft. It's a soft shadow. Right at the very edge of the tape, I'm going to go a little darker. I'm gonna go a little darker. And that's also going to help me get right up to that extra little piece of wood right there, this piece. Because my flat brush is pretty big, and this is such a small fence. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, I already did that one, sorry. Let's get this one. Now I'm going to do the same thing down here. Just right along that edge. I don't want it to be all the way down here where I put the rest of the shadow. I want the bottom part of the shadow to be blended and soft. I want this part right underneath tape to be darker. Now we have like an instant 3D effect. It's not instant because we had to work to do it, but you get what I'm saying. Now we'll do these posts. And I'm going to go along this edge. And I'm going to do the same thing. A little bit black. And I'm going to cover up. I am going to go over it this time because I want this piece of wood to look like it's over top of this one. So very lightly. And over and up here as well. Hopefully I didn't put my, yeah, that's fine. It's also going to make that little piece right there darker too. So blur it. I might have too much paint on my brush. Make it blurry. Really soft shadow. The black. Then come in with a smaller brush and do a darker line right along the edge of the tape. And that's it. Now if you want to add a little bit of grass to really kind of like tie the whole fence together, I'm going to use a little bit of cad yellow and my knife, if I can figure out what I did with it. Now when you paint acrylic with that tape, sometimes you get like a real crusty edge, like a line of paint that kind of like a buildup. So I use my painter's knife, my trusty Bob Ross knife, and I just scrape right along those edges and get rid of that. I'm going to start with the black. This is a round bristle brush. Comes in the set. I might have already told you that, but it comes in the set that I used first with the flat one. And I'm going to put some grass at the bottom of this fence. And I'm going to hold the brush about 90 degrees. And I'm going to push up And I'm going to go at different angles. So this way, that way, this way, that way. Tap more right along the base of the fence so I can get that covered up. And then push up. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to cover up all my fence. Ooh, that's a lot of paint right there. Oh my gosh. What is happening? All right, smaller back here. I don't understand what just happened there. I had way too much paint on my brush. Come on, grass. There. And you can either do this while it's wet or dry. If you do it while it's wet, you're going to get more of a blended grass, but if you dry it, it'll be a little crispier. I about knocked my coffee over. So now I'm going to grab some cad yellow and some black to make some green. Very little paint on my brush, wipe most of it off, and then I'm going to do the same motion. Tap, push up. Don't cover up all your shadow. And now you got a little grassy fence. I'm just going to adjust the brightness a little bit here and there so you can see. And that's it. Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I like to paint a wooden floor, or you can also use this technique as when you're painting a fence. And I'm going to use craft paint. Burnt umber, just brown, and some black. And I'm going to start by blocking this in, and I'm going to use a small round brush, nothing too crazy, maybe skinnier, yeah, let's use this liner brush. This is from the Fine Detail set by Deco. I'm going to start by going over these lines. That way when I start to paint over them and add the texture of the wood, I won't lose them, hopefully. And with some brown. I'll show you how to do it with the brown, but I'm actually going to not make my floor brown, but I'll show you with the brown color because this will also work for like fences and stuff. And if you do want to paint something that looks like wood, you can use this technique on anything wood. So I'll show you the browns that I use and like the color and how I layer all of the colors to get the effect that I get. So right off the bat, I'm starting to put texture on the floor. So all of these lines, I'm just using a flat brush to do that. The craft paint helps because it's so thin. It's transparent. And if I was using a heavy body acrylic, did I already say that this was acrylic? I hope I mentioned this was acrylic. Well, if I didn't, then now you know this is acrylic. if I use a heavy body acrylic, it's going to cover up my lines for one thing, and another, you're not going to see all of these, what's going to look like wood grain. So just grab you some real cheap craft paint. Can't go wrong with that. You won't break the bank. All right, now I'm going to dry it and add a couple more layers. I think I'm done with that brush. Now I'm going to switch to this flat bristle brush. It comes in a set of some other brushes that I use frequently. So it comes in, I think, maybe a set of 6, but I use this one for grass. I use this one to paint rain, like to flick rain or snow. I also use this one on distant trees and grass. Today I'm going to use the bigger flat one. So it's really stiff and it's going to give me a lot of like wood grain. This is also craft paint and the color is called Chestnut. I'm going to use that one next. First I'm going to go in with my black craft paint and I'm going to tap my cloth over here and get most of the paint off, and then very lightly drag along the direction of the wood grain. I've got my wall taped off back here so that I'm not painting all up over it. So this really hard, scratchy bristle brush is giving me more of a wood grain effect. It's okay if you get like a couple of big clumps. It just makes your wood look more older, not more older. Let me make sure the wood look older. Try not to overdo it. My famous last words. I overdid it. That's what I'm going to put on my my tombstone. I overdid it. That should be my slogan. Oh my goodness, that's a dark board right there. I'm using the side and I'm using it flat. I'm just kind of going back and forth for different effects. Now I'm gonna rinse this brush off, get all that black out of there. I don't want it can be damp, but I don't want it to be like soaking wet. Now with the chestnut, I'm just going to do the same thing, but I'm going to not really use any pressure. I was pushing kind of hard with the black. This one, not so much. I feel like I'm about to lose my lines in between the wood. In between the pieces of the wood. They're starting to disappear on me. And you can adjust it darker, lighter, however you want. That's just the technique and the colors that I use. And then I will come back in and go back over. Oh goodness, I think my paint's dry. How can it already be dry? I just got that out of the bottle. Come back in and go back over my black. Oh my goodness, why can't I get paint on my brush? Go back over my black lines. And you know, if they vary in width, like how mine got a little bit thicker right there, I think that's okay because it looks like gaps in just a really old floor. If it was perfectly straight, it might look a little more like a newer house, possibly. But you know, this also works on fences. You can paint a fence this way. I know I've said that like 3 times already, but all you do is paint it straight up and down. Don't paint it like at an angle, fanning out like this. This is just the perspective of the floor. Just paint it straight up and down and you got a fence. And that's it. Then you can, after you let it dry, you can go back over it with, I guess I got black on here. Just darken it up in some places and give yourself a shadow. Where the ghost is casting a shadow. Where your object is casting a shadow. Make the edge a little bit blurry. And that's it. If you liked today's video, give that like button a tap and please consider subscribing. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok where I upload content almost daily. Thank you for watching.